So for user permissions, we're dealing really with the same thing. We have management roles and collections of commandlets, which are referred to as management role entries, but we configure them in a different way. And that way is the role assignment policy that we've been talking about. So let's log into the Exchange Administrative Center here. And the configuration that you have for role assignment policies is certainly going to be far less than that of the role groups. We go to user roles and we find that there's one default role assignment policy, and you can probably guess that that applies to everybody. Okay, so you want to be careful what you do here because it will have an effect on everybody, including administrators. All right, if we want to modify the role assignment policy, let's just open it up so we can see what's there. By default, we see that users are able to change their contact information, right? Their address, mobile, personal. They cannot change their name, which is a good thing. They can modify group membership by default. We'll talk about that later. And they have access to apps and text messaging. And so let's say there's a couple of these that we're not going to use. We're not going to be doing any custom apps. And so we save. Okay? And when we save, we get the warning that this is going to affect potentially many users, which is correct because it is going to affect all users. Okay, now you do have the ability to create additional role assignment policies if you want. So let's say standard users, restricted. Okay, so we create a policy and we say that there are certain things that they're not going to be able to change, to do. They're not going to be able to do any distribution groups. Text messaging, diagnostics, team mailboxes. You see there's additional ones. Now I always want to choose the My Base options. They'll get to do just the basic stuff, auto reply, signature, regional settings. You want them to be able to do all those things so we can take that policy then and we can apply it to an individual recipient. All right, and we can certainly do this via the Exchange Management Shell as well. So we go to Mailbox Features, Default Role Assignment Policy, and we choose now Standard Users Restricted Policy. And that's now going to control what this individual can do. Okay, now we can create, or we can do this via the shell as well. Okay, so let's clear the screen. It would be the commandlet, would be new role assignment policy. The name of the policy, let's say standard users unrestricted. Okay, not the greatest examples, but new roles, okay, and then the assigned roles that we would be granting them. All right, now, so we got to actually figure out what those roles are. Now, one is My Base options, so maybe that's all that we want to grant them, and we just go ahead and create that policy, okay? But if you want to see all the roles, we'll use the same commandlets that we used with the custom role groups. We'll go get management role, and we're going to notice that a lot of these roles start with the word my, and that's your dead giveaway. If the role starts with the word my, then it has to do with a role assignment policy, which are applied to individual users to control their own settings. It's not administrative stuff, all right? And we could follow, the same kind of concept just to illustrate this. Let's go with the My Display Name, pipe, get management role, entry. Okay, and that's going to list out those commands that are a part of that particular management role. Now, there's far less commands in these roles usually. This is really just set user and changing display name and simple display name and set mailbox and the same. I mean, they have to be able to use the identity. This is all behind the scenes anyway. Okay, so let's do the same thing with the My Distribution Group membership. Again, just to illustrate that this is functionally the exact same. Okay, and there we've got add distribution group member, remove distribution group member, and then information or commandlet, to retrieve those groups. So, it certainly doesn't require the level of customization that you have with the role groups. There is one possible option here, and I just want to show you because it's actually a real life example. It was a question that that was posed to me, and then we kind of hunted through the commands. I used my what I knew about the role groups and how we handled that administration, and we were able to achieve it. Okay, so let me show you how to do that real quick here, because you are going to have to do all this through the shell. So we're going to grab that management role, My Base Options. Now this is going to have the most in it, My Base Options. Notice here there's a couple down here, clear mobile device, clear active sync device. So what if I wanted to give users the ability to see their devices in OWA, which is which is the default, their mobile devices, but I don't want them to be able to remotely wipe those devices, which is also available to them by default because it's here in the My Base Options. So let's do the same thing that we did before. We're going to create a new management role, and we're going to call it Custom My Base Options, and its parent is going to be the My Base Options role. Okay, so I'm going to create a copy of that. And I'm going to grab that management role, and I'm going to get each individual entry inside of it. Okay, same list, right? And then I'm going to, let's clear the screen. Then what we're going to do is we're going to use our where object commandlet. So we're going to filter again, and we're going to filter by the name is like, and it starts with clear. Okay, so clear wildcard. And let's see what we get. Whoops. See what we get as a response. Notice there real quick, since I like to do this when it happens, because inevitably it will. When we get the double chevrons there, it's because I was missing the ending French brace, right? Curly bracket. So if it truly was the end character, I can go ahead and enter that, hit enter, and enter one more time, and it actually runs. If you're missing a character somewhere back here, like a beginning quote or a beginning parentheses or something like that, then you're going to just have to Control-C to get out of it. That's a very useful tip, because you can sit here at these double chevrons and keep typing command after command, and it's not actually executing those commands. So just a good tip there that came up. So the result is exactly what I wanted, minus, I need to put the quote or the curly bracket on there. The result is exactly what I wanted, right? The two that I want to get rid of. And so what are we going to do? We're going to go remove management role entry. We're going to get the confirmation because we are deleting. Say yes to both of those. All right. Now, the one difference that we have is that now when we go over here, we're actually going to see this as an option. So I can go to default role assignment policy, and let's scroll down, and where we see My Base Options, notice now we have the custom My Base Options. So I uncheck this box, check this box. Now they get everything except the remote wipe. So that's pretty cool. I can see that as being useful because there may be certain elements in some of these roles that you want to remove. And like I said, that was a real life example an issue that we were able to solve pretty quickly because of the ability to copy those management roles in the management shell. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility for you to have to do some of these things. It is just, it's going to be rare. All right. So that completes our demo here. Role assignment policies apply permissions to users so that they can modify their own options in OWA. And so we saw how to configure that, how to create additional policies when necessary.